I was blessed enough to have a great senior pastor while I was the associate. And we learned, maybe I learned, that though it's corporation-like, a church is still a kingdom organism. And we never so segmented or compartmentalized the areas within the church that we both individually were, say, more responsible for. But as we got together, we would share one another's ministries. And not just in prayer, but we are pastoring this church together, or we're leading this church together. And though I might have more exposure to one demographic of the church than the other, it's still our church that God has called us to lead together. So communication and then incorporation. One of the best things you can do is get your senior pastor to show up at a youth event. One of the best things you can do is to get your senior pastor to be silly, to let down their hair, which is so ironic for me to say. And especially if you've got an older senior pastor, I mean, the kids just eat that up. And when I say kids, I mean everywhere from your children to your senior high students, and they just love to see the humanity in the leadership of the church.
I think intentionally getting to know your lead pastor outside of the office can be really good, like sharing coffee with them or getting breakfast or lunch sometime, and building that relationship so that as people you see one another and not just as like co-office sharers can be really, really helpful. And with that, I think learning that it is okay to say no when you don't think your lead pastor is like on track with something, or maybe not representing your ministry well. I think it's okay to just push back gently and say, hey, have you thought about this? And kind of approaching it in a more like collegiate sense, but kind of assuming this good intention, I think is really important.
Be humble, show grace, don't be the victim. I think sometimes we can feel that way because they're the boss and we're not. And especially when you're young, you sometimes have a chip on your shoulder. You know exactly what you know best, and you know what's right. Just be humble, respect their authority. Someday you might be the authority, but you're not now. Be teachable. You don't know everything, even though you think you might. I thought I knew everything as a 22-year-old youth pastor. You don't know everything, so just be teachable and humble.
I would say the first thing, if you're fresh to a situation, is don't go changing everything, thinking you know better. I think having a conversation and building that relationship with a senior pastor, or lead pastor, or even church board of, hey, what do you think about this? Have them involved in the conversations. Earning the right to change things takes time. There is a process. And if you go and change stuff and you say, hey, you know what, we used to go on a mission trip every year, now we're not. That's gonna upset the balance, and that's gonna change some stuff. But being able to take the criticism, celebrate them, make it a two-way street where it's not I'm gonna suck up to you so I can get what I want, but it's also not I'm gonna manipulate you to get what I want. It's we're on the same team, we're pulling on the rope together. What can we do to best minister to the people we minister to?